Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for clicking on my video. This is Rich Allen, and I'd like to present a novel idea for how to get lots of material to Mars. This is an idea I have not seen presented elsewhere, so I'm sorry if it's already been discussed before, but I've been a space nerd my whole life, and I know a lot about space. I know a lot of the same stuff that all the other space nerds know, but I came up with this mission architecture, and I think it's I think it's really good. But I'll let you be the judge of that. So, um, basically, when you launch missions to Mars, you only have like a two 2 year launch cycle. So every 2 years, you get another chance to launch things to Mars. And well, so with small, tiny missions, like little rovers and everything, okay, you send one rocket, it goes over to Mars, and it does this little mission. But if you want to set up bases, if you want to have material sitting there so that when people actually arrive, you want to have like a full base that has all the material that the people need to survive and to carry out their mission. Well, here's the problem. You could take several spaceships. Obviously, I'm picturing starships because that in the current day and age, the SpaceX Starship is the best candidate for transporting material to Mars. But hopefully, we'll have more options, in the future. But so if you want to transport lots of material and have a realistic base for people to survive and thrive on, you're going to need more than one Mars rocket. And just think about the danger involved of sending one Mars rocket that had, tons of material and the people. Naturally, you're going to have to send multiple rockets. And I would assume that you would use one launch window to send the material, and then the next, and hopefully some robotic technology to help set up that base camp, and then the next launch cycle you could send people to land on at the existing base or bases. So here's the novel idea that I have is to send multiple groups of spaceships to set up multiple bases, okay? And you have to prioritize each base so that if one spaceship, let's say a spaceship fails and crashes or is lost for whatever reason, then you can pull the identical spaceship from another base and land it where you want it on your higher priority base. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Okay, so so what this consists of is right here I'm using three identical groups, okay, of two spaceships. But regardless, it doesn't matter whether you have two locations or five locations or something crazy like 10 locations, whatever. I think, two or three or four or five maybe would be a good start. And you would send the identical groups of spaceships with the identical infrastructure on each one. So you'd have, if you have three groups of two, you have two different spaceships in Group A, two different spaceships in Group B, and two different spaceships in Group C. But Group A1 and B1 would be the same, and C1 would be the same. A2, B2, and C2 would be the same. So basically, you would prioritize your landing site for Group A as your top priority. Group B would be your second priority, and Group C would be your third priority. And if all those spaceships land perfectly right where you needed them, that's great. That's wonderful. Then you have 3 different bases that will be ready and available for the next launch cycle when you send astronauts. But so the idea here is, with all these spaceships, even if you had just a couple, you have a very good chance that something's going to fail. Okay? And if you have all these different spaceships going to different locations, you can divert, you can divert a C2 to replace an A2 if an A2 it crashes and burns. Okay? Does this make sense? So let's scroll down a little bit. These are just examples. Like a Type 1, an A1 might carry robots, and a Type 2 might carry structures like solar arrays, habitats, mechanical systems, and you could have an A3, B3, C3, but there's a lot of room for interpretation here, but it's just a generic idea, a novel idea for sending spaceships to multiple places, and then having the ability to take identical ships to replace any that are lost for the highest priority landing sites. Okay. Okay, so scrolling down. So you launch everything to Earth orbit at the same time. You're staging it. You have your Group A, Group B, and Group C. And on Mars, you have A, B, and C landing sites prioritized. A would be your highest priority site to set up a base. Then hopefully you get a B, and if you're lucky, you might get a C too. But you have 3 groups of identical spaceships that are going to launch all your material. 3 identical groups, sorry, 3 identical groups, so that when you get to Mars, and they would have to travel to Mars like Group A, Group first, and then Group B, and then Group C. Because if anything happens to the Group A spaceships, you want to be able to replace that with a Group B or a Group C. Okay? So that's just the general idea. Have you considered something like this before? And give me some feedback. How do you feel about it? Do you have some improvement for it? And let me know what you think. All right, Richard Allen signing off. Thank you.